So there was an American girl there in the maelstrom of Tokyo money whose looks and father made her a kind of star. There were dinners and parties and after-parties, an excited kind of alcoholism, seemingly vital just to offset the stress and adrenaline, a suspension of time as anyone previously knew it. Old hands would see the wired faces and think, fresh off the boat. She met people from all over the world, ambassadors, producers, filmmakers, journalists, consultants to the International Telecommunication Union, assistants to ambassadors, secretaries to those assistants, hundreds of people passing through the crossroads of Tokyo. She traveled by absurdly priced domestic flights to Hokkaido, Nagoya, Kobe, Kyushu. That year she was too busy to think of needing anything to do. She was 22. And then her father was offered a higher-paying position in the private sector as a consultant to a mining company in Irian Jaya, owned by a corporation known as the Chang Group, who, as her parents' separation became something they referred to as such, were being sued over poisoned rivers by a consortium of local villages represented pro bono by environmental lawyers on behalf of a well-financed Washington PAC. She argued with her father. It was a bullshit political assignment, and he left for Irian Jaya, and she stayed. And as her Japanese got better, the money ran out. She didn't have a 4-year degree, and she wasn't good enough at lying to try and bluff her way into a job teaching English. She was too proud and too far away to ask for help from either of her parents. In the winter of early '99, she turned to hostessing to pay for the gaijin house in Setagayaku and the reduced circumstances she'd fallen into.
The mama-san wore heavy makeup and black taffeta, and was cruel in all business. On her first night, she was given a photocopied sheet of rules in English, the comedy of which was lost and darkened in its pettiness and fascism. Never wear pants. Never pour your drink first. Always light the customer's cigarette first and pour his whiskey when it gets to half. Don't talk to the other girls. Always talk to the customer. You shouldn't wear black. Black was the mama-san's province. The girls changed clothes in a shared converted closet with one mirror, no seats, and in the washroom there was another rule taped to the wall. Please check clean it here. It's your own room, and bring your own tissue. Please. Affectionately, Mama. She worked with an African girl who'd come to Tokyo on scholarship, whose host family had moved on to England, and had found it too difficult to study in Japanese. She would remember the African girl forever, sitting on the arm of a leather sofa, unsmiling, her cigarette smoke curling in the disturbed air where a customer's hand jerked, miming a milking motion at her breast. There was an Irish girl who didn't have a degree and couldn't teach English either. The Filipina-Canadian girl, named Ariel, who turned up for 2 Friday nights and never returned. A blonde Russian who spoke no English, wore a silver gown with a sash and a split, who had a gigantic bald Dutch boyfriend who snapped at her in a language that sounded like angry rustling because a blonde was competition. A New Zealander who taught English, and there was just for the extra money.
She hated whiskey, and that was all that they ever drank. They were shy yet lewd, and the conversation she tried to make was made of codes for her benefit alone. She talked about certain bars she'd been to with embassy staff, about the pizza restaurant and the Salsa Caribe, the restaurant where she'd met a beautiful, rich DuPont girl and actually liked her. Better than demeaning herself using Japanese honorifics, she asked in English inane questions and in English earned rude answers. How long have you been at your company? You have small breast. She has bigger breast. Because the men were free. The hourly rate was a mere 1,500 yen, but there was a bonus system. If she secured a customer's business card, she could call him during the week to say hello and ask when he would visit again. If he came again and he asked for her, she would get the bonus, and that was how the real money was to be made. She began to paint her toenails in her spare time with laborious, obsessive care, using different coloured cotton wool to keep each toe apart, but matching on each foot, a rainbow of tufts, mirrored at a point between her perfectly painted big toes.
Red, white, blue, pink, pink, blue, white, red. She began to pluck the hairs on her legs with tweezers as maintenance between waxings. She began to cause too much pain and take too much time over the process. She began to find too much calm there. The men knew the bonus system and kept the costs to themselves. She couldn't bring herself to try harder. So when the New Zealand girl told her about a job opportunity, that there were dancers wanted at Flood in Roppongi, it may have been a bad choice, but even for the same money, just not to talk, just to dance sounded like something so sweet and so free. Flood seemed all made of glass, chlorinated water running down in sheets and rivulets, lit through by halogen lamps. The whole club fluttered and rippled. She was interviewed in the afternoon as busboys wiped tables and vacuumed with Siemens AG machines strapped to their backs. The interview was conducted, mostly in Japanese, by two men in their 30s.
They asked her to strip down to the bikini she had ready underneath, and they asked her to dance to music muffled by the vacuum cleaners. She laid her suit carefully on a bar stool and danced at 4 p.m. to a song called Sweet Like Chocolate. And one of her most vivid memories of this would be that to wear the new bikini she had waxed the highest centimeter of her triangle, and that there the cotton bikini was tight and hot and chaffed the sensitive skin. She was employed at roughly double what she had been making as a hostess, and she was changing fast. There were songs, and then there were the things she vividly remembered that made up her life. Prince, Diamonds and Pearls, and waiting at Harajuku Station for the first trains as the sky lightened. Wearing heels in the freezing dawn, chain smoking, reading a leaflet about a short film festival by the sad milky light of a Dido drink dispenser. New Order, True Faith, and standing under Almond Cafe in a summer night when it was too hot to even try and sleep. Standing on the corner with other girls from Flood and saying little, and hearing for the first time that some of these girls were sleeping with Japanese men for a lot of money.
Suede, remixed, Everything Will Flow. And hearing as part of the same conversation about the J guy who was stupefying foreign girls at his apartment and videotaping them, how some girls just disappeared, and equating the two in a kind of final horror and retribution, and wondering if whatever drug he used allowed the girls to dream, and if so, of what. After 2 months, being invited to dance in a VIP room at Light, which was owned by the same faceless people who owned Flood, where she danced for older men in expensive suits who brought their own Japanese girls with them. How although she was never asked to do anything more, she felt like some kind of dumb show, a prelude to a real event, a deeper, darker, later VIP room where anything could happen and that waited for her, clicking like a beetle. And she learned only small pieces of information about her clients, all from other girls. That one man whose skin was so clean and caramel it seemed to glow was a director of Mitsui Fire and Marine. The girl who walked with him was so tall and slender and silent, and had such poise and mute elegance. She felt shy of her size for the first time in her life, shy of her muscled arms and rounded hips, shy that there seemed so much American substance to her body. And she found out later that the slender girl was a slave, that the director had bought her when she was 13, that she was now 16, and had trained herself to hold a can of beer completely inside her anus, because that was what the director wanted.